Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited to be here with you today, or at least virtually with you. I know that the end of the school year can be very busy, but I wanted to ask all of you to take the next 45 minutes, relax, kind of think about where we've been for the past year and the work we've done, and look at two documents with me that celebrate all the great work we've been doing. This afternoon, we're going to ask you to review the Integrated Field Review Report and the published version of the implementation plan, which has guided much of our work this year. You should have received a copy of each document when you came in today, and your principal will help you identify the documents when we need them. But before we begin our work, I would like to thank the Washington Central leadership team, you, the teachers and staff of the supervisory union who really make the learning happen for students, and the school boards for supporting this great work that we've been embarking on together over the past several years. Neither of these documents would have been created without you, and there's much to celebrate in both these documents. In the Integrated Field Report, there are celebrations, and in the implementation plan, it shows much of the great work we've done so far as a foundation to improve student learning for all kids. So, let's take a look at the learning targets for our work today. There are 4 targets for today's work, and they are: I can identify the findings in the Integrated Field Review Report. I can identify the theory of action, strategic outcomes, objectives, and actions that will support students in achieving the student learning outcomes. I can connect strategies in the implementation plan that will support the recommendations identified by the Agency of Education. And most importantly, this last one, I can identify what I will do today, this summer, and next year to make the student learning outcomes a reality for all students. So let's review what the education quality reviews are for the state of Vermont. This is Vermont's system for accountability that will be done every year for all supervisory unions. Each year, all the supervisory unions in this state of Vermont will have an annual snapshot made up of their quantitative data they submit to the Agency of Education. So this will look at student outcome data, as well as financial data, demographic data, and other data that we're required to submit. Every 3 years, there'll be an integrated field review, which is a qualitative review of the supervisory union's work. This is what we had this past year, and I'm going to review this process in more detail here in a minute. The integrated field review looks at artifacts, observations, and interviews that happen while they're here on site. They'll look at our past artifacts that we have submitted. They'll have folks that will come in and make observation of our work on the day that they're here to observe, and they'll interview students, staff, and parents to see how we're doing. From the artifacts, the observations, and the interviews, the field review staff will collect evidence statements of what they have seen or found. From those evidence statements, AOE staffers will take a look and create findings based on the patterns they see within the evidence statements. And from there, commendations and recommendations will be made. And we're about to take a look at ours and our recommendations and commendations in a bit. So there are 5 areas that these commendations and recommendations are focused on that are covered in Vermont's education quality standards. And they are academic proficiency, personalized learning, safe and healthy schools, high quality staffing, and financial efficiencies. So for this past year, we were one of 4 pilot integrated field review cohorts, which were conducted over the past 2 years. We worked with Grand Isle Supervisory Union and Lamoille North Supervisory Union. In December, the staff from the 3 supervisory unions, along with students from the 3 supervisory unions, were trained in how to collect evidence statements. And then in February, staff from Washington Central visited Lamoille North and Grand Isle to conduct their reviews, while staff from Grand Isle and Lamoille North came here on February 22nd and conducted reviews of our school system, along with 6 of our students from U32. Evidence statements were collected and organized, and draft findings were published by an Agency of Education team. These findings were reviewed by everyone on the team and changed as they saw fit as they reviewed the findings. A full report that had commendations and recommendations was drafted by the visiting team, and on April 25th, the Washington Central leadership team had a preview of the draft final report. So what is followed on pages 3 through 8 in this document has a page for each of the 5 areas at which the review went over. Right now, we're looking at the academic proficiency page, but I want to talk about how this is laid out right now. What you'll see in this red box are the findings they found. So these are the patterns they found in all the evidence statements, organized in 3 main areas. And sometimes there's 2, 3, or 4 areas, depending on the different proficiency they were looking for. A lot from those findings were developed commendations and recommendations for each of the 5 areas in which the report focused on. So let's take a look at the commendation and recommendations for each of the 5 areas. Under the area of academic proficiency, we were commended for prioritizing professional learning around the use of data in guiding our practice. We're also recognized for the supports we've given curriculum and instruction coordination within the schools by prioritizing common planning time and through weekly early release days. It was recommended in the area of academic proficiency that we should continue to develop understanding of proficiency-based learning and grading amongst all stakeholders. Also, we should continue to work to coordinate curricular and instructional practices between the elementary schools. In the area of personalization, we were commended for a variety of self-directed, interest-based, and non-traditional learning options available to older students. We were also commended for developing a teacher advisor program that supports students in navigating their school experience. It was recommended that we should continue to work on implementing personalized learning plans on a broader scale, and we should explore the equity of extracurricular and enrichment options available to elementary students. In the area of safe and healthy schools, we were commended for our implementation of multi-tiered frameworks of academic supports across schools, and the schools were characterized by positive climates bolstered by the consistent use of Tier 1 social-emotional learning programs. It was recommended in safe and healthy schools that we consider to develop clear guidelines for school and classroom level communication expectation and engage all stakeholders in conversation about proficiency-based learning and grading. We should also consider additional activities to facilitate student transitions from U32 across the elementary schools. In the area of high quality staffing, we were commended for the promotion of the coordination of instructional practices and professional learning by creating times for collaboration. We were also recognized for having a system for evaluating teachers and administrators that is clear, personalized, and based on best practice. In the area of high quality staffing, it was recommended to us that we might want to examine the potential benefits by prioritizing the various professional learning focuses reported across the supervisory union, and that we should examine the need for differentiated professional development as it relates to particular building-based needs and current levels of implementation. In the area of financial efficiencies, we were commended for proactively addressing our financial needs through formalized spending processes, external audits, and the active recruitment of tuition students, and that we have updated and well-maintained facilities. It was recommended that we should examine the impact of classroom staffing ratios as an opportunity to achieve further financial efficiency and educational equity. So, what I'd like you to do is to form in groups of 3 or 4 other staff members not sitting around for you and run the maitre d' protocol. During this protocol, you'll have the next 10 minutes to talk about these 3 questions. What was confirmed by the integrated field review report? What was new learning for you in the integrated field review report? And what can you do to help improve either these commendations or recommendations in this upcoming year? Please pause the video here while you are conducting this protocol, as the next section will start after your 10 minutes in the maitre d' protocol.